All right. Hola, clase. ¿Cómo estamos?
Bien.
Bien. Sí, más o menos. ¿Cómo fue el fin de semana? El fin de semana, excelente, más o menos,
Muy bien, muy bien.
interesante. Sí, ¿alguien quiere compartir? Want to tell us anything? But I feel like sharing.
My weekend was okay, I guess.
All right, all right. Good to see you back again, Brian.
Oh yeah, I changed my schedule. Now I'm working in the afternoons now.
Nice, nice. Where are you working at?
Zips Dry Clean.
Okay, okay. Well, thanks for making that work.
Yep.
All right, all right. ¿Alguien más? But you got anything fun to share? Good to the group. Grace,
I
if your
went I
camera's
went to
working.
my cousin's quinceañera today.
Oh, fun. And what were the highlights?
They brought a robot, there was a bounce house, that's a lot of food.
Oh my.
Yeah, there was a DJ too.
Wow. A lot of people?
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
And
Very
it
cool.
lasted until like 1 in the morning, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Anybody else do anything fun? Just the usual. It was a nice weekend. Caleb, what'd you do? Were you going to share?
I got to do a lot of driving this weekend.
Oh, like practice driving, or like you just had to go a lot of places?
Practice driving.
Oh, good. How's that going?
Good.
Yeah. Is it getting easier or is it stressful?
Easier.
Okay, good.
The roundabouts are stressful though.
Yeah. They take a little getting used to, for sure. Muy bien. Actually, okay, this is totally irrelevant, but so roundabouts are like a big thing in England, which is where my husband's from. And in his little town, it's called Hemel Hempstead, they have what's called the Magic Roundabout. And it's like known in the country because it's so weird. So there's a roundabout in the middle, right? And then there's roundabouts all around the outside of the roundabout. And so it's super complicated. Like I would never want to drive there. It seems very stressful, especially right there. But yeah, anyway, so at least we don't have that. All right. Well, along those lines, hopefully had a good weekend. Here we are. Nice weather. Felt like it was a good weather weekend. We did some biking and stuff outside. So I have kind of a few just little catch-up announcements and updates, and I want to just make sure we're all on the same page, and I want to talk about grades, and I want to talk about where you should kind of be at. So if you give me your undivided attention, if I can't see you like very well, maybe you could adjust your camera, Raven, Grace, Cindy, Brandon, John. Thanks. Oh, Reese too. Thanks. Okay, so first of all, obviously tonight is back to school night. If you have not heard yet, the way we're doing that is just on Zoom. So if you could help your parents, just like open up Canvas and just click on the live lesson button, just kind of like what you do every day, and help them get here. That would be awesome. And then I can talk at them for 10 minutes. And yeah, that would be great. So that's that. Let's see. I wanted to let you know that I did update your grades. I think they're all pretty much up to date. So let me tell you kind of what I put in there and things to check for. Obviously, you want to keep track of your grades. Make sure you don't miss anything. Make sure I don't miss anything, okay? And if you're missing things, I will still take them, okay? The very least I would give you is half credit. All right. It just depends how late things are getting now, but please get me stuff because you don't want to have a lot of zeros starting to build up. So there were grades for some online work. I was pretty lenient with that. I just needed to see some effort. And if you are behind on that, make sure you check out especially the verbos irregulares. That's been a big focus that we've been working on. So that was the one I most recently checked just to put a grade in today. And I was pretty lenient on it, to be honest. I don't know that I always will be, but it was more like if you tried it and you did pretty well, you got a 5. If you tried it and you didn't do great, that was out of 5. You got a 4. If you didn't try it, then you got a 0. So, I mean, I just need you to get there so that, you know, I can make sure that we're all knowing how to use our online textbook. So please check out your grades. Let me talk about participation. I think I'm going to do, it seems to work online, to do a participation grade every 2 weeks. So what is that grade made of? Well, there's 2 things. Number 1, you have to be here to participate. Okay, so showing up every day. And number 2, then it kind of is how many times literally I mark down your name. Now, I make sure everybody participates, right? So nobody got a 0 on participation unless they haven't shown up to class yet. But whether you were in like the 8 to 10 range, the AB range, or you were in kind of the CD range, the 6, 7 range, depends on how many times you participate. So make sure you check that out. And if you didn't get a 10 out of 10, you have every ability to do that. So just start making sure that you raise your hand. Probably like the difference is 1 or 2 more times. Okay. But that should be an easy grade as long as you're showing up to class. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about is I did update a button on your Canvas page that I think will help you. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick and show you what I'm talking about. So just go to my homepage, or I mean, you don't have to right now because you're just looking up here, but it's on my homepage. So listen, you know that I always use this current lesson button to do whatever we're doing that day. Okay. You know that once that day has passed, you can always go look it up under assignments based on the date. Okay. You know, live lessons is how do you get to your Zoom? Well, now I'm using this class resources button. There was nothing here before, but I decided it would be super helpful, especially for those of you that don't have a printer and are not keeping your notes organized. So look, if you click on class resources, I'm going to start putting all the things here, all the notes. Okay. Now I don't have answers on them, but I have like the basic, you know, conjugation PowerPoint. So you can go back through if you need to see how to conjugate verbs. Here's your vocab list. Now it's not completed, but at least you have the words half of, you know, the one way. Here's the conversación básica. Here are the verbos irregulares that we worked on the other day. Okay. So this is yo verbs and go verbs and some of the ones that are irregular that I expect you to know. All right. And then at the bottom are just directions to get on your online textbook. So I'm going to try to dump things there so that you're not like, oh, I don't have my notes on how to conjugate a verb and I have no idea what day she talked about that. So I'm not going to go through every single day and try and find it. So boom, they're all going to be here. Okay. So this is all going to be like grammar notes, vocab lists, kind of anything that's like how to. All right. So use that, especially if you haven't been keeping organized, if you've been missing classes, if you don't have a printer and you can't, you know, haven't been keeping it organized. Now, what I would do, I mean, it's here, but also I'm hoping that maybe you have like a Google folder that you've kind of created yourself, and then you can always look at it there. Okay, so I think that's all of my kind of announcements and house cleaning and whatnot. You know, the big thing is just make sure you check in on Skyward and see how you're doing on things. And if you're missing things, get them to me, okay? Give me like 24 hours to look at them. And then if I haven't updated your grade, then send me a message and say, hey, I redid my textbook assignment. Could you double check it for me? Okay. The stuff that comes in on Canvas, I get alerts when you do something. That stuff that on the textbook, I don't really get those alerts. So let me know if you do that and I don't change your grade. Okay. Questions for the good of the group? Okay. Vamos a hablar un poquito. Yo tengo las 3 preguntas aquí del capítulo. Entonces vamos a hablar ahora juntos de las preguntas. Primero, ¿qué haces los fines de semana? ¿Qué haces los fines de semana? Por lo general. Okay, I'm not doing past tense. I don't want to know what you did last weekend. I'm just saying in general. ¿Qué haces los fines de semana? So I'm looking for some translate question and then maybe a few good answers. So somebody want to start us off? ¿Cómo se dice en inglés? ¿Qué haces los fines de semana? What am I talking about? All right, Alejandro, for the first new participation point, don't forget, I'm starting over.
What do you do over the weekend?
Yeah, what do you do on the weekends? Great. So again, if you need verb help, you need some ideas, look at your vocab list. Otherwise, you should be able to name 2 things at least that you do on the weekends. All right. Voluntarios, who's got something? Cindy, ¿qué haces?
Yo visito mi familia.
Good. Visito a mi familia. Excelente. ¿Alguien más? John.
Yo juego fútbol.
Muy bien. Juego al fútbol. Excelente. ¿Y un voluntario más? Un voluntario más. My choice? Who's got it? Who's got it? Nikela.
Salgo con amigas.
Perfecto. Salgo con amigos. Muy bien. All right. ¿A dónde vas los fines de semana? Kind of the same idea there. ¿A dónde vas los fines de semana? ¿A dónde vas? Brian.
Where do you go over the weekend?
No puedo escuchar. Try it again.
Is it where do you go over the weekends?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, were you just translating? It was just real cutty. Yeah. You want to answer it?
Nah, I'm good.
Don't overthink it. Vas al trabajo, ¿no?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, trabajo.
Okay, gracias, Brian. ¿Qué más? Caleb. Caleb, ¿a dónde vas?
Yo voy al gimnasio.
Sure. Yo voy al gimnasio. Excelente. ¿Alguien más? Another place you could go. Yo voy al parque. Yo voy al parque de Eagle Creek muchas veces. ¿Alguien diferente? All right, tough crowd. Let's move on. ¿Cuál de los quehaceres tienes que hacer en tu casa? ¿Cuál de los quehaceres tienes que hacer en casa? It's a good time to grab that vocab if you don't know all your chore words. Alejandro, ¿qué tienes que hacer?
Lavar los platos.
Muy bien. Can you just give me a little sentence? Either say I wash the plates or I have to wash the plates.
Yo tengo que lavar los platos.
Hey,
Entonces,
tengo que lavar los platos. Remember, tengo que is a good way to say I have to do something. And then you don't conjugate the next verb. All right, I'm coming around. If I don't get some more volunteers, I want to hear from some people I haven't heard from yet today. So everybody get ready. Think of your chore. All right. ¿Hay voluntarios? Grace. Grace, you still muted, honey.
Tengo que lavar la ropa.
Okay, tengo que lavar la ropa. Muy bien. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más? ¿Qué tienes que hacer? Oh, Claire.
Poner la mesa, or is
Huh?
it pongo la mesa?
I was just going to say, either say pongo la mesa or tengo que poner la mesa.
Okay, so pongo la mesa.
Pongo la mesa. Good. Y una persona más. How about Joel? ¿Qué tienes que hacer?
Shoot, sorry. Limpiar mi cuarto.
So either say I have to, tengo que,
Okay.
or just
Tengo-
conjugate limpiar.
Oh, wait, what's that?
Need help?
Limpiar is limpio or something like that.
Limpio would be I clean.
Okay. Yeah, limpio mi cuarto.
Good. Okay, so everybody listen. Either I would want to hear limpio el cuarto, I clean my room, right? Or tengo que limpiar mi cuarto, I have to clean my room. So either one of those is fine. Make sense? Cece? All right, we're gonna move on. I will say, so I'm thinking about, I can't decide if I want to divide up this review chapter. All right, so basically we have this week and next week, we're finishing up our review. I'm thinking that I'm probably just going to give you a quiz at the end, as opposed to giving you one this week and then another one next week. So what that means is make sure you're staying with me, because all these little topics are going to add up and are going to end up on a little quiz for you. All right, so make sure you're paying attention when we practice. All these questions are fair game. All the yo verbs are fair game. And we are now going to check out some stem changing verbs, which I'm also going to expect you to be refreshed on. So switching gears now, stem changing verbs. Before I show you anything, anybody raise your hand and tell me what a stem changing verb is? Or another name for them is boot verbs or shoe verbs. Does any of that sound familiar? Boot verb, shoe verb, stem changing verb. Can anybody remind us of what I'm talking about? For you native speakers, you might be like, I have no idea what she's talking about. But for those of us that learn Spanish in school, or you just remember hearing it, that's how we do it. Alejandro.
I'm gonna guess and say it changes a letter
Uh-huh.
at the end.
Uh-huh.
Then it
Okay,
means-
so, oh, sorry, go ahead. Somebody else want to add something?
Doesn't it changes in the yo to the LA usted and ellos, ellas, ustedes?
Okay, perfect. So here's the deal, and I might have to move over on my board here in a minute. So we have a verb, right? And then we have the stem of the verb, okay? So here, I'm gonna go this way, so you can have a little more board space here. All right, so let's say my verb, I'm gonna pick a very simple verb here, is hablar, everybody's standard verb. Okay, we talked about this the other day. When you conjugate the verb, you drop the ending and you're left with the stem. So can somebody unmute and tell me what would be the stem of hablar? Okay, so it's gonna be ab. It's everything but the AR, okay? So that's your stem. Now, most of the time that stem doesn't change and you just add your new ending. So you have hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, hablais, habla. However, sometimes we have verbs that are called stem changing, which means the stem has to what, clase?
Change.
Change, okay?
Change.
How does it change? Well, you just have to practice it. There's basically 3 changes. There's E to IE, O to UE, and E to I. Okay, what am I talking about? Well, there's a couple of verbs that are pretty common that you already know. Before I show you anything, you're gonna recognize. Like, how do you say to play? Somebody said this earlier. How do I say I play a sport? Yo. Everybody's thinking it in your head. Get with me if you're not with me.
Juego.
Yo juego. All right. The original verb is jugar. We change it to yo juego when we conjugate it. So the stem has changed. All right. You know, probably at some point you had to say, can I go to the bathroom? How do we say that?
Puedo.
Puedo ir al baño. So again, puedo comes from the verb poder, and the stem changes to puedo. All right, so we're going to do a little review, and we're going to make sure you are refreshed on these. And there may be some verbs that you didn't know before that you need to make sure you know now. There's no way to know. If I look at the verb jugar, if I've never seen it before, I don't know if it's a stem changer. Okay, so what you have to do is learn the verb jugar means to play, and it's a stem changer. Okay, because there's no other way to do it. All right, now the other thing that we mentioned was it doesn't change in all the forms. So that's where the shoe thing comes into play. All right, I am going to share some notes with you. You can just look at them with me for now, and then I'll give you a chance to practice with them in a few minutes. All right, so let me pull this up for you. Almost there. Okay. So here's my little summary of stem changing verbs. And again, if you were never great at grammar, whether you're a native speaker or not, because sometimes spelling and grammar is hard for native speakers, or you just don't remember learning this very well, pay attention now, okay? So Stem changing verbs. These verbs have a spelling change in their stem. And I've listed just a couple here. Okay, the extensive list is down here. But verbs like preferir, querer, empezar, jugar. All right, to prefer, to want, to start, to play. There are 4 kinds of stem changers. Some go from O to UE, some go from E to I, and then just jugar is the only one you need to worry about with U to UE. All right, now here's the deal with the shoe or the boot. Okay, I call them both, it just depends. If I were to draw a verb chart, yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ustedes. We always go in the same order, okay? You will notice that inside the shoe, the verb does what?
Change.
Thank you. It changes its spelling. Outside the shoe or the boot, it does not. So vosotros does not stem change and nosotros does not stem change. Now, we don't really use vosotros too much here, so I'm not overly concerned with vosotros. So really in your head, you're thinking everything stem changes except for nosotros, all right? So you have something like dormir, okay? You don't have yo dormo, you have yo duermo, tú duermes, él, ella, usted duerme, okay? Then nosotros, outside the shoe, outside the boot, okay, is dormimos, and then ellos, ellas, ustedes duermen, all right? So let's look down here, and these are your 4 categories, all right? Now, it's a lot of categories. I mean, there's a lot of words here, but that's a pretty thorough list. Like, there aren't really that many more that you're ever gonna come across that are super common that you need to worry about. I tried to make it a pretty extensive list. Now, I starred 3 only because those are the ones that are in your textbook that they present. So those might come up a little more frequently just with like book activities and that kind of stuff. They're not really more important, but those were just the 3 since I know you're not looking at your textbook. Those are the 3 that they gave you as examples. So they gave you poder, to be able to. Now we don't say I be able to, we say I can, right? Perder is to lose and pedir is to ask for. Okay, but you should be familiar with all of these. I would not say you have to memorize all of them, but keep this list handy. Okay, I'll put it under my class resources after today. And if you can print it off and use it. Okay, so how do you know when they change? You literally look at this list and go, oh, dormir's on my list, so it stem changes. Okay, all right, last question. I'm gonna let you practice some of these. Look at preferir, classic example here. So it changes from E to IE. Well, gosh, there are 2 E's. Which one do I change? So here's the rule. If there are 2, look, empezar has 2, entender has 2, divertirse, I guess now it just has the 1 E, it has 2 vowels. So what do I do? If there are 2 E's and I know it's IE, which one do I change? There's a good answer here. It's an easy answer. Okay, put up your finger right now. Tell me it's either the first vowel or the second. Anybody take a guess? First or second? Show me you're with me. Show me your fingers. Put up a 1 or a 2. We have a verb with 2 E's like preferir. Do I stem change the first one or the second one? Waiting. I see 4, 5, 6. Get your hands up so I know you're paying attention to me. 7, 8, 9. Okay. The answer is the second. Okay. So put that in your brain right now. It's always the second. Okay. So when you go back and look at preferir, yo prefiero. Okay. Empezar would be yo empiezo. Entender, entiendo. And all the rest, I guess, just have 1 E. Okay. So, quick question before I let you try a couple. Anybody have a question?
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you want us to do our this extra ticket now or like at the end? Okay,
I'm getting there. I'm real close, but not quite yet.
I was just making sure.
Yeah. No, I'm getting there. Anybody else have a question for the good of the group? Understanding stem changing verbs. I mean, again, this is in theory review, but I know for some of you it might be easier than others. Okay, well, I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute. And why don't you just look with me? I want to show you, let's see, the other things on our agenda today, and then I will let you go off and do them. Okay. So why don't you look with me here real quick at today's agenda? Okay, so here we are. We did our basic questions. We are reviewing our STEM changers right now. Here is the document. If you can pull it up and print it, I would recommend that. It is nice to have this one around so that when you're trying to decide if something's a STEM changer, you can tell. All right, in a minute, you're going to do this exit ticket for me. It's pretty quick, but it's all about STEM changers. Okay, it's multiple choice. You're going to submit that to me today. But before you do that, I want to explain your homework, and then you can just get to that as soon as you're done. Okay, so let me explain homework because it's a little different. Es un poco diferente. All right. So it says 10 frases originales con vocabulario y verbos irregulares. So what does that mean? All right. So 10 frases originales. I want 10 what?
Original.
phrases.
Okay. Yeah, and phrases is what we say in English, but it's sentences. Okay, so I want 10 sentences in Spanish. Okay, I want them to be your made up words. So I want at least 5 of them to have vocab words. So that means you're gonna have to pull up your vocab list and see what's on there. Then I want at least 5 of them to use some sort of irregular verb. So I know that you're thinking about it. You can go back and use a yo verb, you can use a go verb, or you can use any of the STEM changing verbs that I just presented to you. I want to see that you can use those in 10 sentences. Now, this is super important. No Google translating. Keep it simple, 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 simple. Okay, I want nothing fancy. I want present tense. I want to see vocab, and I want to see that you can use some of these verbs. Okay, I want no other tenses. I want no fluffy words. If you have to look up 1 or 2 words, fine, but otherwise keep it simple. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 nights to work on this. You work on it tonight, or you can work on it tomorrow night, and that will be due Tuesday at midnight. All right, and of course you can submit them right there. Okay, so I will take questions in just a minute, and if you don't have any, you may leave the Zoom. I want you to do your exit ticket first. Okay, that is due today, and then you can work on your original sentences, print off your STEM changers if you can, and save them to a Google Drive. I'll put it under class resources. Okay, questions for me for the good of the group before I let some of you sign off. Stop leaving, wait. Nothing. Okay, now if you know what you're doing, go do those 2 things. Don't forget your exit ticket and then your homework. Hasta luego, unless you want to stick around. And
I have a question. Wait, I have a question.
Yeah, just stick